Right. So today we are going to look into Prophet Muhammad as the founder of the Islamic religion. So according to our syllabus, we are supposed to look into the role of Muhammad. We have to explain the role of Muhammad in the establishment of Islam. What did he do to establish the religion? And we also have to evaluate the legacy of Muhammad. When you talk of the legacy, in simple shona tukutaura nyaya yenhaka, or what he left for the religion and for the world, because Islamic is a world religion. Then we also have to explore Muhammad as a prophet, right? So as we'll be exploring the Muhammad as the prophet, Muhammad is the template of all the prophets in Islam. So we are supposed to analyze the concept of a prophet in Islam. A concept is just a rough idea about something. Then we have to explore the extent of Muhammad's prophetic status. So to what extent was Muhammad's prophetic standpoint or prophetic character important in Islam? Right. So we are going to I think a brief background of him is quite important. So Muhammad was born in Mecca, Saudi Arabia in the year 1570. So since his father died before his birth and his mother died shortly thereafter, he was raised by his uncle. The history is also very important because it shapes how he became. So he was raised by his uncle, who was from the respected tribe of Quraysh. He was illiterate. I think we once mentioned it when we talked about the Quran. This simply means that he was unable to read and write and remained so till his death. His people, before his mission as a prophet, were ignorant of science and most of them were illiterate. That's the thing. Like, akatokura nevanhu vekuti vanhu vacho vanga vasingaiti zvekunyora nekudzidza still vanhu vaingorarama. So as he grew up, he became known to be truthful, honest, trustworthy, generous, and sincere. He was so trustworthy that they called him the trustworthy. So kubva achiri mudiki, it is believed that he was very religious and he had a long detested the decadence and idolatry of his society. Because in society mairarama vanhu vaiita zvekunamata zvidhori nekuita sei. So he already hated that type of life. So at the age of 40, that's when he received the first revelation when the angel Gabriel visited him in the cave of Hira on the night of power. So as soon as he began to recite the Quran and he began to preach the truth which God had revealed to him, at that point he had a very small group of followers, but they faced a lot of of persecution. And the persecution grew so fierce that in the year 1622, God gave them the command to emigrate. And this emigration from Mecca to the city of Medina, some 260 miles to the north, marks the beginning of the Muslim calendar. So after several years, Muhammad and his followers were able to return to Mecca, where they forgave their enemies. And before Muhammad died at the age of 63, the greater part of the Arabian Peninsula had become Muslim. So that's how it spread. And within a century of his death, Islam had spread to Spain in the west and as far as China. And even to this day, Islam is everywhere in this world. And among the rapid reasons and peaceful spread of Islam was the truth and the clarity of his doctrine. Like they were very straightforward and clear in terms of how they were meting out their doctrine to the people. And it is also a monotheistic religion. They believe in Islam calls for faith in only one God, who is the only one worthy of worship. And Muhammad was a perfect example of an honest, just, merciful, compassionate, faithful, and a very brave human being. I think I want to signify his bravery. I think I once mentioned about how he managed to escape with the people when they were persecuted. So, moreover, in all his actions and dealings, he was very mindful and fearful of God. So, there are some 10 reasons why they say Prophet Muhammad was the best prophet of all time. So they say as Muslims, it is mandatory that we believe in all prophets and messengers of God. That's why Patakamboita lesson last time we mentioned about Nyama prophets, Abraham, Noah, Isaac, Vanani. So all of them have believed in Allah and these angels and these books and these messengers. We make no distinction between any of his messengers. But nevertheless, although we make no distinction in terms of believing that all prophets and messengers were sent by God, whether it is Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and of course Muhammad, we do in fact favor certain prophets amongst others. So Muhammad is one of the most favored. That's the point here. So they say he was the final messenger sent by God to the entire of humanity. They say he was given the Quran, and the Quran, they say it is better than the Bible because it is the final revelation of God, and he was granted the largest following. He is the leader. Fourth point is the leader of the children of Adam, and he will be the first to be resurrected. He is the first person to be resurrected, and he will be the first to. And he will be the first to intercede on the day of judgment, and he will be the first to cross the Sirat bridge over the hellfire, because people will be crossing from hell to heaven. And again, he will be the first to enter paradise, and he was granted the Makan al-Maktar, the praised station, and during the night journey, it is believed that he led all the prophets in prayer during the night journey too. That's sort of the point, So that's where they say Muhammad is important. The main point to analyze at is the seal of the prophet. Religion. Religion is quite tricky. Christianity it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Very, very interesting. Right. So let us explain further. Right, so you might be asked, and it's in line with the syllabus. Explain the role of Muhammad in the establishment of Islam, right? So his role was he is the founder of the religion, he is the receiver of the Quran, he upheld the monotheistic worship, books that are followed from Islam are from his teachings and his actions, and he performed the miracles, and he conducted a jihad that the Meccans to be converted into Islam. He's the one who came up with the code of conduct in the Muslim world. He established the rules and the laws that were to be followed in the Islamic religions, and he organized the charity that attracted several people. But on the other hand, we also have to give credit to some people we worked with. Even who share the gospel, even should be Khadija or Fatima or something. Sorry, I forgot on that one. But there was a wife he married. He was the wife was older than him, and she was also wealthy. She also helped him to spread the gospel, and even giving credit to the uncle who took care of him after his parents had demised. So when we look into his legacy, like a legacy refers to the achievements of a person which are left behind for the next generation to benefit from. That's a legacy. So he's believed to be the last prophet and the seal of the prophets, and the revealed Quran which came to him where he was on the Mount Hira through revelation. So when you talk of legacy, we are talking about what has been left behind. So he left a powerful religion, his personal character as well. It's something worth emulating, like his behavior and sayings, which are recorded in the Sunnah and the Hadith. Remember, we have the Sunnah and the Hadith, right? These are the deeds and the sayings of Muhammad. So he's a miracle worker, uphold of monotheism, the pilgrimage of Mecca. He was a mufti, he was honesty. Like even if you look into the concept of jihad, we have a lesson on that. He was well known for the maintenance of peace. He was a peaceful person. So he became the template, like I said, of other prophets. The other prophets were supposed to follow the standard that he set. So the word prophet comes from the Arabic word nabi, meaning the messenger. So a prophet is also a messenger. So a prophet in Islam, therefore, is a messenger of Allah. A prophet is one who possesses the following: reliability to teach Allah's word as it is. A prophet is the one who is honest and transparent, and they receive and preserve the revelation of what? Of God. And the prophets have a superior mind and intelligence and strong memory, superior logic ability and persuasion, as they are not ordinary people. They are like one of the qualities of a prophet, whether it's in Islam or in Christianity in general, is the ability to persuade people. Because prophets work as oracles, they work for God. So sometimes people do not want to follow God. So as a prophet, you have to come through and find ways to compel people to follow God. So you must have that art of persuading people. So that's why we find out that when you talk of prophets, we say they are charismatic prophets. There's a certain level of charisma that you must have. In a way you dress, in a way you speak, in a way you conduct yourself in front of people. So a prophet must be a bearer of good news, that they are preachers of Allah to mankind. They give warnings to people concerning what is right and what is wrong, and they reveal the truth as well as the book of truth to people. And they're the moral guiders. They are the ones who put their moral guidelines, and they can pronounce judgment or punishments to offenders. And they are miracle workers, and Allah gave all his prophets quality to produce some extraordinary things or events. E.g. Prophet Muhammad, they say that at one point when they didn't have water dripped out of his hands in a desert. So he left a very wonderful legacy. Like when you talk about the extent of his prophetic status, he was a messenger of Allah, a role model to all the people in Islam, societies and individuals. He had high morality, he was a good leader, a politician, a statesman during his time. And he pronounced salvation to those who submit to Allah, authorities, the prophets, is seen in the Sunnah and Hadith. He also suffered rejection and persecution in order to establish the religion. He was called when he was praying, like calling are prayerful. So he upheld social justice, and he upheld charity works and high levels of good morals. And miracle workers just like any other prophet, and he led in wars during his first jihad to make. I will touch on jihad in detail. So that's it for Muhammad. You can read further in some notes in the volume 2, but I think this is the proper guideline of, like I said, Islam is very short, and some of the topics are just straightforward with the straightforward points and quite interesting. So we'll continue in the next lesson. I think we'll touch on the Sharia law tomorrow.